Hi, girls. I'm so glad you've returned to listen to another episode with me. I put a lot of work and research into creating this content for you. So please, if you find these insights valuable, leave a like on the video. It truly helps the YouTube algorithm recognize the importance of our community and promote these videos to more women who need to hear this. Also, feel free to comment or ask anything you'd like in the space below. I read all of the comments, and it makes me so happy to see that you are enjoying the content and growing from it. Today, we are talking about the invisible leash effect. There is a fundamental truth about human nature that most people are too terrified to acknowledge. The more you try to hold onto something, the faster it wants to slip through your fingers. We have been conditioned by society, movies, and outdated advice to believe that love is about possession, that commitment is a set of rules, and that loyalty is something you enforce through monitoring, checking in, and emotional pressure. But in the world of dark psychology and high-level emotional intelligence, we know that pressure always creates resistance. When a man feels that he is being watched, questioned, or restricted in any way, he doesn't feel loved, he feels hunted. His natural biological instinct for autonomy and personal space kicks in, and his mind begins to search for an exit, even if he doesn't actually want to leave the relationship. The invisible leash effect is the sophisticated art of removing the cage entirely, so that he becomes obsessed with the very freedom you've given him. To master this effect, you have to understand the deep psychological concept of reactance. This is the brain's defensive reaction to a perceived threat to its freedom or its ability to choose. The moment a person feels their choices are being limited or that they are being managed by another person, they suddenly find those forbidden choices much more attractive than they actually are. This is a cognitive bias that can destroy a relationship if you aren't careful. If you tell a man he can't go out with his friends, he will crave the outdoors more than he ever did before. If you question who he is talking to or look over his shoulder at his phone, he will find a subconscious reason to keep his phone hidden, even if he has nothing to hide. By trying to control him, you are actually pushing him toward the very behaviors you fear. The invisible leash effect flips this dynamic entirely. You give him total, unadulterated, and absolute freedom. You make it clear, through your actions and your calm energy, that the door is always wide open, and you are not the one standing in his way. This creates a profound and immediate shift in the power dynamic. When there is no pressure coming from you, the entire responsibility for the relationship shifts from your shoulders onto his. If he stays out late and you don't call him 20 times or send a single passive-aggressive text, he doesn't feel the thrill of getting away with something. Instead, he sits there in the silence of his own freedom, wondering why you aren't worried. He begins to question why you are so secure without him. The lack of a leash makes him feel untethered in a way that is actually quite unsettling for the male ego. He starts to wonder if your lack of control is actually a lack of interest, or worse, that you have options so great that his absence doesn't even register as a loss in your world. In his mind, the freedom you give him becomes a mirror that reflects his own value back at him. He realizes that if he wants to be a part of your life, it has to be because he chooses to be there, not because you forced him. The invisible leash isn't about being indifferent or cold. It's about being the ultimate destination. You create a life that is so vibrant, so peaceful, so intellectually stimulating, and so emotionally intelligent that he realizes any freedom away from you is actually a step down in quality. When you don't nag, when you don't interrogate, and when you don't demand his time as if it were a debt he owes you, you become the only place in his life where he feels truly at peace. Most men are used to women who try to manage their schedules and monitor their behaviors. When he meets a woman who doesn't need to manage him because she is too busy managing her own empire and her own happiness, he becomes fascinated. He starts to use his freedom to choose you, over and over again, because the choice is finally his to make. This is the true meaning of devotion, not staying because you have to, but staying because you cannot imagine being anywhere else. There is a certain darkness to this effect because it plays directly on a man's deep-seated need for validation and his fear of being irrelevant. By not policing him, you are subtly communicating that you are not afraid to lose him. And nothing makes a man more desperate to stay than the realization that the woman he is with is perfectly capable of letting him go. It triggers a deep-seated fear of being forgotten or replaced. He begins to think, if I'm truly free to go, then I'm also free to be forgotten. This thought process keeps him closer to you than any amount of tracking apps or arguing ever could. He becomes the one who checks in, he becomes the one who seeks your approval, and he becomes the one who wants to ensure that his place in your world is secure. He begins to police himself because he values the reward of your presence more than the empty void of his own autonomy. The implementation of this effect requires a high level of internal strength and a complete mastery over your own anxieties. You have to be able to sit in the silence and not send that text when he's late. You have to be able to smile and say, "Have a great time, I'll see you later," when he tells you he's going out, and you have to mean it, not because you don't care about him, but because you know that your value is non-negotiable and independent of his presence. You are giving him the long leash, knowing that the further he runs, the more he will realize how much he misses the emotional anchor you provide. You are not his mother, you are not his boss, and you are certainly not his jailer. You are his prize, and prizes do not chase. They remain stationary, they remain high value, and they let the world compete for the right to be near them. When he realizes that you aren't looking for him, he will inevitably start looking for you. He will start to value the time he spends with you more because it wasn't demanded of him. It was a choice he made for his own benefit. This is how you build a bond that is actually unbreakable. It's not built on guilt, social obligation, or the fear of a fight, but on the fact that he has explored the world of freedom and realized it is empty and hollow compared to the world you have built for yourself. You are using his own desire for autonomy to tie him to you more tightly than any chain ever could. You are the open door he never wants to walk through because he knows that once he leaves, he might not be allowed back into the sanctuary you've created. As you move forward and apply this to your relationships, remember that your power lies in your non-attachment. The invisible leash is only invisible because it is made of psychological threads, not emotional demands. It is the strongest bond in existence because it allows him to feel like a king, while you remain the silent, unshakable power behind the throne. You are teaching him that your presence is a luxury, not a commodity. By giving him the freedom to leave, you are giving him the clarity to see exactly why he must stay. It is a quiet, sophisticated, and deeply effective way to ensure that the power in the relationship remains firmly and elegantly in your hands. You are the architect of the dynamic, and he is the one who will work tirelessly to maintain the space you have allowed him to occupy. Thank you for listening to me today. I truly appreciate the time we spend together exploring these dynamics. Follow me if you want to hear more about how to navigate these invisible threads of power. I have many more surprises planned for you in the future.